Coming up on Mountain News at 6, the number of deaths related to the recent winter weather continues to go up. Plus, we'll hear from a plumber about how to protect your pipes during the frigid weather and the thaw.
And in the world of weather, we are keeping an eye on a low pressure system that will push through the Commonwealth. How will it impact us? Details coming up.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
Several schools will remain closed tomorrow as the ice and snow from the recent winter weather hangs on. This week does not look as cold or as snowy, though. First look, Sarah Dean has the latest forecast.
Yeah, Steve, that's the good news. Not as cold, not as snowy, but with that precipitation that's going to fall Tuesday going into Wednesday, we already have some ice on the roadway, so anything that melts has a chance to refreeze. You add a layer of fresh rain, it's going to freeze on contact. You add snow on top of that, it could make roads a little hazardous. That's why first alert weather days have been declared now until Wednesday. Let's go ahead and take a look at the temperatures right now. We're seeing temperatures in the 20s and low 30s. We're sitting at the freezing mark here in Hazard, 35 in Manchester, 34 in Williamsburg. Stanton, good evening to you. You're at 32, 33 in Moorhead. You factor in that feels like temperature. Moorhead's down to 24 already, 29 in Jackson, 32 in London, 30 in Whitesburg. Now we factor in that feels like temperature. We're going to stay in the mid-20s as we go throughout the next 12 hours. So here's like a live pinpoint Doppler radar. All is quiet throughout eastern Kentucky. This is our weather maker right here, this low pressure system. This is going to push its way in as we go into your Tuesday and Wednesday. And you can see kind of the timeline of this, how it pushes through. We start off quiet. Shower chances will pick up in the afternoon and evening hours. And then by Wednesday, it will exit on out. High pressure will regain control. We'll go with a more localized version of Future View and time this out coming up in the first alert forecast in a few minutes. Steve.
Eric, thank you. The number of winter storm related deaths continues to increase in Kentucky. Governor Andy Beshear says at least 16 people have died. The most recent death was a 75-year-old woman from Adair County. As we reported last week, there have also been deaths out of Johnson, Morgan, and Pulaski counties. In a post on social media, the governor asked for prayers for the victims' families. Those freezing temperatures we've seen recently are causing more than just issues on the roadways. Folks are also having problems inside their homes. WYMT's Neely Green spoke to a local plumber about how to avoid pipe damage from the cold.
While snow and ice can cause plenty of issues for drivers, it can also pose problems for homeowners.
Typically, it's frozen water lines, basically like in crawl spaces, maybe underground, coming from the meters to the house.
You can usually tell when pipes burst if there is unexplained water in your home or if there's not as much coming out of the faucet.
Low pressure. If there's a water line break going into, say, their house and it's coming from the meter to the house or even in the crawl space, you're going to lose pressure, you're going to lose water.
And if you experience frozen pipes, there are some things to do to protect your home, whether you do it yourself or call a plumber.
We go through, check everything, see if there's any exposed lines, and if it's metal, brass, whatever, we tend to hit that with the heat gun first, and then if that works, then we're good. If not, then we'll go even further to see what we can find.
While folks sometimes trickle water to prevent pipes from freezing, Goins does not suggest it right now as many communities have a lack of water and officials are urging water conservation.
So the best resort would be the heat in spaces, maybe inside your house if you've got a cabinet or a sink that kind of gets cold. That the cold air gets to you, open the cabinets up, allow the house to the hot air in the house to kind of heat that.
Goins says if you take measures to warm the pipes, to be careful and do not cause a fire. In Perry County, Neely Green, WYMT Mountain News.
And Goins says you can only prevent so much and that frozen or burst pipes can happen to anyone. Last week we shared the story of sanitation employees making the rounds in central Kentucky, but here in the mountains, workers with Rumpke say they are facing a much larger uphill battle. WYMT's McKinley Calandrino spoke to officials who say this is the most challenging trash pickup they've ever experienced.
The treacherous winter storm has impacted the state of Kentucky in more ways than one. And sanitation crews throughout the Bluegrass say trash pickup has been delayed for days.
It's a bad situation. It's a bad situation for Rumpke. It's a bad situation for any garbage collector. It's a bad situation for the people that aren't getting their garbage serviced.
Troy Catron, the Eastern Kentucky operations manager at Rumpke, says he has been picking up trash for 18 years. And in the eastern part of the region specifically, crews are facing some additional challenges.
We have a lot more rural roads, and the consequences of sliding off the road up here are often going into a creek or rolling down the side of a mountain, where a lot of parts of the state, you have guardrails and fences and stuff next to the road to, make it safer for us.
Making this the most difficult pickup yet, and still not able to reach those secondary roadways, which don't see as much sunlight due to their terrain.
They're solid ice, and even the ones that are cleared, a lot of times we can't turn these big trucks around in just anybody's driveway. The big issue that we have is a lot of times the road may be clear, but the access for us when we park our truck in the road and we have to walk over to the trash, that's solid ice.
Catron says he oversees 27 employees in EKY, and while they have a job to do, he says safety is the top priority.
And our number one goal is the safety of our drivers. We can't have guys getting hurt, and we don't want to put our trucks on these bad roads where it could elevate the risk of us striking another vehicle.
Asking for patience and time to work safely and efficiently.
Just be patient with us. We'll get to it when we can. When we can get there, we'll take all that's available, all that's out. We'll get it.
In Perry County, McKinley Calandrino, WYMT Mountain News.
And officials ask that you bag your trash and do not burn it. You can check Rumpke collection dates by finding this story on our website at WYMT.com and our news app. One Magoffin County man and former middle school teacher was sentenced to 11 years in prison after he tried to entice a minor online. According to his plea agreement, Jordan Cobb engaged in a Snapchat conversation with a former student of his who was a minor. Authorities say Cobb sent the minor a series of sexually explicit messages and had also planned to meet with them for sex. One Leslie County man was sentenced to 15 years in prison after being convicted of trying to produce child sexual abuse material. According to his plea agreement, Finley Wooten engaged in a Facebook Messenger conversation with a minor. During the conversation, Wooten sent sexually explicit images and asked for images in return. Authorities say Wooten used the app to try and persuade the victim to engage in the production of child pornography. In Owsley County, a woman appeared in court today for a status hearing in connection with a murder. Mika McKinney was charged with that case back in 2023. State police say she was driving on Kentucky 30 when she hit 33-year-old Ethan Boland, leading to his death. In addition to murder, McKinney was also charged with driving under the influence. Another status hearing was set for April 6th. 2 people are facing charges after police in Pulaski County say they were trafficking drugs. The investigation started sometime in the later part of last year. Police took Robert Conley and Tiffany Helton into custody after they found 155 grams of meth, along with nearly 32 grams of fentanyl and handguns in Conley's car. Additional charges are expected as the investigation continues. The London City Council did not violate the Open Meetings Act last month. Attorney General Russell Coleman made the ruling last week. The complaint stems from a special council meeting back on December 3rd. The person who filed the complaint said the city violated the law because the meeting room was overcrowded, but Attorney General Coleman disagreed. The frigid cold led to sprinkler issues in Laurel County. The London City Fire Department says a building's automatic fire sprinkler suppression system failed because of the freezing temperatures. Fire crews shut off the water flow and no injuries in that incident were reported.
All right, take a look at the weather headlines for tonight. First of all, we are keeping an eye on a system that's going to push through on Tuesday. The temperatures will take another nosedive by the middle part of the week, and then, hey, we're going to warm up. I'll tell you when coming up in the First Alert forecast in a few minutes.
And folks can help domestic violence survivors this weekend. We'll explain.